Hello friends, welcome to yet another tutorial video on your coder. In this video, we will learn how to build this testimonial card with multiple reviews with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Isaac Enim, and over here on my channel, I share my knowledge on programming with JavaScript and web development in general. So if this is your first time here, then please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any new uploads. There is another part of this video where I showed you how to build a user rating card with emojis. Link to that video is in the description below. Before we start, you should know that I've already written the CSS part of this project to save some time. So I'll talk you through the HTML and JavaScript files only. Here's how it works. As you can see, the testimonial card has a paragraph of the testimonial, an image, name and job title of the author. The arrow buttons at the top here will toggle between the next and previous testimonials. If I click the right pointing arrow, the next testimonial appears. The opposite happens when I click the left pointing arrow. We will import these arrow icons from Font Awesome. If you do not have an account with Font Awesome, you can create one right now for this project and any other projects you'll be working on. Link is in the description below. Without wasting much time, let's start building. I have already generated my boilerplate code. First thing I'll do is to link my CSS and JavaScript files like this. I will copy my Font Awesome script tag from this text file over here and then paste it in my HTML file. You can create your own Font Awesome script tag when you create an account with them. Follow the link in the description below. In my body tag, I'll first create a div with class container. This will be a parent element which will contain all other elements in this project. A heading h2 with content, meet our happy customers. Below it will be a div with class underline. This will create a line below our heading. The underline class has already been defined in the CSS file. Next, I will create a div with class review container. This will contain our next and previous arrows, the testimonial, image, name and job title of the author. In the review container, I'll first create another container for our arrow icons only, a div with class btn container. Now let's head over to Font Awesome website and import our arrows. On the search page, I just need to type arrow. And as you can see, I have been presented with a whole bunch of different types of arrows. I will just select the first one because that is the one I need. I'll now click this link to copy the code snippets of the icon. I'll head back to my HTML document and then paste the code snippet. I'll paste it again and then change the first one to left like this. As you can see, our arrow buttons have been imported. Next is a p element with ID, info and class info. This element will contain the testimonial. I have a sample testimonial here in my text file, so I'll just copy and paste it. Next, I will create a div with class image container. As the name suggests, it will contain the author image, so there has to be an image element with ID, author image. I have 5 images over here, so I'll just pick the first one and then input it as the image source. Below the image container is a heading h4 with ID author. In it, I'll input the name Emily Jones. Finally, is a p element with ID job. Within it, I'll input SEO consultant. Please note that the content I am putting within the elements in this HTML document is not necessary. For example, I did not need to input the name Emily Jones within this h4 tag because JavaScript will do that for us in the completed work. Same goes for the image and the testimonial. I just input them for clarity's sake. I'll remove them when we are done writing the JavaScript code. We are done creating our HTML document. Let's move to JavaScript. Before I continue, you should know that it took 15 hours to make this video, but it will take you less than 10 seconds to show your support. Just like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to not miss any new uploads. The first thing you would see in my JavaScript file is an object array containing some predefined testimonials from 5 authors. Each object contains the author image, name, job, and the testimonial labeled info. This is like a database of client reviews, and that is what we are going to be working with. Normally, in the real world, this data will be on an external server where you will be required to fetch the data using a URL. For the sake of this project, I created this data locally. I'll first select my HTML elements that I need. The first is const img equals document.getElementsById, and the ID is author image. I will copy and paste 3 times. The next is author. The ID is author. Next is info, then the ID is info. And then finally, job with ID, job. Next is to select the next and previous arrow buttons. Const prefbtn equals document.querySelector bracket opens dot fa arrow left. I will copy and paste once and then change this to next btn and then left to right. Now I'll add an event listener to our window. So window.add event listener bracket opens. The event we are listening for is DOM content loaded. Then an arrow function comes in. With this, we are simply telling JavaScript that anytime the page loads, something should happen. We are about to tell JavaScript what we want to happen when the page loads. I want a function showPerson to run anytime the page loads. So this function will display our testimonials. Now I will define the function down here. Function showPerson brackets open. I'll create a variable letPerson equals reviews index 0. The person variable stands for a single item in our object array, and I have assigned it to reviews index 0. That means I want the first item in our review array to be displayed. Next is to target the image, so we say img.src equals person.image. This line means the image of the person that we have targeted in our object array will be displayed. Next is the name, so we say author.textContent equals person.name. Next is info.textContent equals person.info. And then finally, job.textContent equals person.job. So I'm done displaying the first item in the object array on our page. At this point, I can go back to my HTML file, and if I remove the testimonial, you can see it still displays. I also remove the name and job title, and as you can see, they still show on the page. That is because the data is now being fetched directly from our object array in our JavaScript file. Now we need to make our next and previous arrow buttons functional, so that when they are clicked, the next or previous person in our object array will be displayed. Before that, I'll create a global variable, let current person equals 0, and then put it right here in place of the 0. It's still the same thing. Now next btn.add event listener bracket opens, click, and then we bring an arrow function. In it we type current person plus plus, and then showPerson function should run after that. This line is simply telling JavaScript that anytime the user clicks the next button, this current person variable will be increased by 1, and it will be inserted over here in the showPerson function. That means the next person in the object array will be displayed on the page. I'll click the next button to test. As you can see, the next button is working fine. So anytime I click the next button, next person will be displayed until it gets to the last person in the object array. When that happens, we need to tell JavaScript to come back to 0. With that, we use an if statement like this. If current person is more than reviews.length minus 1, then current person equals 0. It's minus 1 because the last item in an array always has an index of 1 less than the length of the array. Let me test the next button to see if it's working well. As you can see, when it gets to the last person, which is Wendy Duffy, it goes back to the first person, which is Emily Jones. Now I'll write the opposite code for the previous button. Priv btn.add event listener, click, and then comes an arrow function, current person minus minus. If current person is less than 0, then current person equals reviews.length minus 1. Then the show person function will run. A quick summary. Anytime a person clicks the previous button, the current person variable will be reduced by 1, meaning the previous person in the review object array will be displayed until it gets to the first person. When that happens, we need to tell JavaScript to go back to the last person in the review array. That is where the if statement comes in. Now I'll click the previous button to see if it's working. Good. Now our code is working fine. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this tutorial video. Make sure to like and subscribe before leaving. Thank you for staying with me until the end, and I'll see you in another video.